Welcome to Teen ypww Lesson 8. I do not own the rights to this music. The topic is The world is ever changing, but God remains the same. Part 3. The lesson text is coming out of 1 Samuel chapter 2 and chapter 3. Hebrews chapter 10 verses 22 through 24. And 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verses 12 through 14. The memory verse. I will read the King James Version first and then the New International Version of Malachi chapter 3 verse 6. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. The New International Version. I, the Lord, do not change. So you, the descendants of Jacob, are not destroyed. The key for today's lesson. The principles of God remain the same. The focus for today's lesson, students will learn strategies for successful living. This week, our discussion about our ever-changing world and the consistent guidance of God continues. We will discuss 3 strategies or best practices for you, teen listeners and readers, to use to help you survive the various life changes that you may experience. First, give attention to the details of your situation when possible. Second, ask for help from parents and trusted leaders when needed. Third, earnestly pray for, expect, and follow God's directions. These 3 basic directives can be applied to most situations of uncertainty, and they are our platform for this discussion. We find these principles practiced in the life of young Samuel as we continue our study of his successful life and ministry. Samuel models for us a biblical principle lifestyle. However, to be fully engaged with the leadership and guidance of God, your salvation is a required prerequisite, for it is through the saving power of Jesus Christ we gain greater access to the directives of God. If you are saved, we celebrate and applaud your decision to follow Jesus Christ. If you are not saved, we recommend that at your earliest opportunity, ask your teacher or pastor about the plan of salvation. Some believers are more concerned about the big picture of projects and assignments. However, sometimes it is important to give attention to the small details of our assignments. Samuel showed this principle of giving attention to details by following Eli's directions explicitly. 4 consecutive times he runs back and forth from his room trying to determine who was calling out his name in the middle of the night. Each time with no pushback, Samuel obeyed Eli's directions to go back to his room. On the 4th run, Samuel now has some extra directions on how to answer the voice of God, and it worked. Samuel's detailed orientation blessed his life. Eli knew that Samuel could be trusted because the principle of attention to detail operated strongly in his life. In contrast to this principle, there will be times when you will have to make a decision and not have all of the details. Just move forward and make the best decision you can with the information that you have. This scenario is the exception, not the rule. Ask for help. Sometimes it's not easy to ask for help, especially when you have been rejected by those who could help you. Samuel didn't know who was calling his name, so he ran to Eli and asked him for help. It is important to note that he did not ask Hophni and Phinehas for help. Sometimes you can't ask your peers. Sometimes you can't ask your peers for help because they may lack experience or wisdom. Samuel asked the most trustworthy and experienced person in the house, Eli. Finally, after 3 inquiries, he gets the answer he needed. This model of ask and keep asking is sometimes necessary for us to follow. If one source rejects your request for help, Find another trustworthy person and ask them. Do not be ashamed to ask for the help that you need to reach your goals. If you need tutoring in a subject at school, ask about study groups for that subject. Asking trustworthy teachers, counselors, and friends for their expertise in areas you need help is okay. Also, ask church youth leaders and pastors for guidance or any type of help that you need. They may have access to resources, agencies, or organizations that can meet your exact needs. In Matthew chapter 7, verses 7 through 8, Jesus said, "Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened." Wow! This is a powerful declaration. This scripture includes repetitious requests. Earnestly pray. Prayer is the essential conversation that we have with God that helps us to bring together everything we do and ask for in alignment with His will. While there is no hard line sequential order for the 3 best practices given in this lesson, we recommend that you start all of your assignments and projects with prayer. Then, after you have started and completed portions of your assignment, you may need to go back and pray again. It is the continuum of prayer that demonstrates our faith in God. Samuel's first prayer conversation with God was a phenomenal prophetic encounter that began his wonderful prayer life with God for the remainder of his ministry. As believers in Jesus Christ, we have exclusive rights and privileges to access directives from God. The presence and influence of God will be constant in every believer's life. However, every believer will face challenges as well. We must learn methods of how to triumph over every problem we face successfully. In today's lesson, we discuss 3 best practices that will help teen listeners and readers overcome challenges and live successful lives. Attention to detail, asking for help when needed, and earnestly praying. We find these winning attributes in the life of Samuel. The questions for today's lesson, and you can search the scriptures on your own. Question 1. Our 3 best practices discussed today are attention to detail, asking for help when needed, and earnestly praying. Share an experience in your life when you successfully used one of these practices. Number 2, God trusted Samuel. He was a good student and a faithful son. List some benefits of being a good student with a faithful reputation at your school and church. The end. God bless you, and thank you for joining me today.